What's up guys, it's Patricia from TarantulaHeaven.com. I've got Miss Spidey here, my Chilean rose hair, and today we're going to talk about New World tarantulas versus Old World tarantulas. This is really important for beginners, so I hope this is really valuable for you guys. And if you're new here, I put out tarantula videos every single week, whether it's informative, whether it's about care, whether it's just silly observations that I've made about my own tarantulas. If you are into that, please subscribe. This topic was a request on the YouTube channel. I think it's a really great question, especially for the newer tarantula owners or the people who are thinking about being tarantula owners in the near future. I think that this is incredibly important to learn about when you are thinking about getting one or thinking about expanding your collection based on your experience level. So a lot of soon-to-be tarantula owners find themselves at this weird fork in the road of knowing whether I should go New World or Old World. And there are so many things to learn about when you're first thinking about getting a pet tarantula. So this can be kind of a sticking point amongst all the other things that you need to learn. It can be a little bit confusing. So I hope that this post and this video actually shed some light on that for you. Generally, and I think opinions in the hobby are a little bit divided on this, but generally I think the consensus is that beginner tarantula owners or new tarantula owners should generally start off with a less advanced spider. And that's usually why New World tarantulas are recommended at first, but there are many people that start off with Old Worlds and they're incredibly brave. I myself have been in this hobby for several years and I have no desire to get an Old World tarantula ever in my life. I just don't think that that is something that I have any interest in, no matter how beautiful they are. Their temperament is not for me. So so that is one of the things that is recommended in the hobby, is that generally you want to start off with New World, but there are certainly a lot of people who say it doesn't really matter as long as you do your research, and you shouldn't shy away from a tarantula that you want. You will learn along the way. So opinions are divided. My personal opinion is that New Worlds are a lot more manageable, and my experience is somewhat limited because I've never had an Old World tarantula, so I could be wrong and I could just be playing into the stereotypes of Old Worlds. But I think there's a lot of research out there about the differences between New Worlds and Old Worlds. And I would say if you're a beginner, try to steer towards New Worlds unless you really want to take on the stress and anxiety of having a really crazy temperamental speedy spider. So now I'm going to go over the differences between these tarantulas so that you can make your own decision regardless of what I say and what others say. One of the more common deciding factors is the difference in temperament. And as a disclaimer, I just want to say that there are New Worlds who are very vicious. Anytime you get a living thing, there is a level of unpredictability in dealing with this living thing, whether you're dealing with a cat or a dog or a bunny or a tarantula. So just because you get a New World tarantula, and New Worlds generally have a reputation of being slower, less temperamental, less prone to mood swings, and more docile, that doesn't mean that you might get a tarantula that's incredibly moody. And there are many tarantula owners that will say that their Old World tarantulas are pretty chill. So it really depends on the spider, but generally, like when we're talking about generalizations of species and stuff like that, New World tarantulas do tend to be noted as more calm. New World tarantulas are also tend to be more tolerant of handling, and I'm not somebody who really encourages handling. I have handled my tarantulas a few times in the past, but it's very rare, and especially now that my cat has moved in with me, I don't really do any handling. But both of my tarantulas, Spidey, my Chilean rose hair, and Blinky, my Arizona blonde, they are New World tarantulas. And my experience with them is that they are really chill, very calm. I've never held Blinky because they're so small and they're really fast. But I've held Spidey a number of times in the past, and she's always been very good and calm and sweet about it. So that's my experience with it. However, I will say that, just speaking on mood swings, she is a Chilean rose hair, and while rose hairs generally have been giving it a docile reputation, that's kind of changing now because the species is kind of known for mood swings. So even though she's not an Old World, she definitely does have that, and she's been going through a period like that for a while since her last molt, where she's just hungrier than usual. She's a little more jumpy when I move things around the tank, so I am not interested in holding her anytime soon. I would love to have my sweet docile spider back, and she is still very chill. Like you can see, she's pretty cool, but I do recognize that she is more defensive and territorial than usual. So things happen. Like you could have a really calm spider at first, and then their attitude might change through a molt or depending on how hungry they are. So there's so many different factors that it's really hard to pinpoint or give you a definite about this. But generally in the hobby, New Worlds are considered more calm and easy and tolerant to have. They're also slower moving. Old Worlds, on the other hand, tend to be more temperamental, more defensive, more likely to attack, and they are also very, very fast. So if you try to handle them, it's usually not recommended because of their speed and their unpredictability. New Worlds are usually recommended because they allow you to kind of ease yourself into the hobby. A lot of people who start out with Old Worlds sometimes regret it or have these really scary experiences of the tarantula jumping up their arm or biting them or escaping or something like that. So generally New World is recommended as safer. And I talked about speed a little bit before. Yes, so New Worlds are much slower. Spidey, even though she is in this more energetic phase and she's having like little mood swings, she is much slower than an Old World. And I can kind of see her actions coming. So if I think that she's going to possibly strike, if I don't move my hand away, I actually have time to think about that. I have time to notice what she's doing, and I have time to second guess my actions and decide that I'm going to pull my arm out of the tank. With an Old World, sometimes you do not have that luxury. Now, I don't play with Spidey. If I see any sense of that she's getting defensive or she doesn't want to be bothered, I don't mess with her. I stop bothering her right away, take my arm out, whatever, stop doing what I'm doing in her tank. But with Old Worlds, sometimes you don't have that time to actually notice and think. They are lightning fast. So I think any owner of an Old World can tell you that the speed is super intimidating and sometimes you really don't see it coming. So if you are newer to the hobby, this might be a really good way to avoid accidents, is to just stick with a New World just so you can get on your feet, learn about the spider, learn about tarantula care, and then when you feel a little bit more comfortable and kind of have your footing, to move to a more advanced species. And another big difference is the difference between their attacks and their venom. Another reason why Old World tarantulas aren't recommended for beginners is because their venom is so much more potent than New World tarantulas. They're also sometimes have a reputation of being kind of vicious, and they don't really hesitate to bite you. And this is for two reasons. One, for the temperament reason of just being more defensive and faster than New World tarantulas, but also because New World tarantulas have a secondary defense mechanism. So New World tarantulas not only have their fangs, but they also have these itchy, urticating hairs on the back of their abdomens, which sometimes they are more likely to kick those off and attack with those instead of biting. So a lot of time those hairs are plan A, and then if that doesn't work, or if they are feeling even more threatened, then they will go right to plan B and attack with their fangs. And this is usually a defense that they use before resulting to biting. Now, Old World tarantulas, on the other hand, do not have these hairs on their abdomens. So that means that they will go right to biting, and their fangs are usually pretty big, and their venom is usually pretty strong. And like I said, because of their speed, with an Old World tarantula, there usually is not enough time to react. So you want to be really, really careful. With a New World tarantula, because they do move a little bit slower, you might actually have time to get out of there and save yourself. So I think those are like the few main differences between an Old World tarantula and a New World tarantula when you're thinking about what tarantula you should get when you're starting out in the hobby. Whether you decide to go New World or Old World, that is totally your choice. Many beginners start off with Old World tarantulas, and you know, they still learn in their way around the spider and they are still fine. But you need to know the risks for sure. You need to be prepared and know what you're getting yourself into before you make that decision. So I hope that this video at least gives you that preparation and gives you some good things to think about before you make a commitment with an Old World or a New World tarantula. But anyway, that was a great suggestion and a great topic, so I'm really happy that someone suggested it. If you guys have any more suggestions of things you'd like to learn about, please let me know in a comment. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe. And you can also get early access to my videos by contributing to my Patreon. And you can also sign up to my Tarantula Tuesday newsletter. All of that stuff is in the links below, so please give that a look through. And I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.